Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michael from TrustVerse. We are a Singapore-registered company. Today, I want to present our project called The Future of Wealth Management and Blockchain and AI. You probably hear like a lot of buzzword here, like blockchain and AI. You know, what are you guys doing with wealth management? So what do? We look at a lot of data, predictions. We look at financial modeling to make the crypto as a safe asset, or we are structuring this unstructured world with the traditional finance and IT background. You probably have seen TrustVerse in like many different conferences. We kind of stick to the traditional conferences, finance conferences, or venture capital conferences that we present. So we've been pretty exposed on the blockchain. How do you make use of blockchain for smart contract-based asset management, and we are focusing on how would you transfer your asset to different parties by making like smart contract-based inheritance planning and the legacy planning. So I want to show you why we are approaching what's called portfolio optimization, and how you're actually transferring these assets to meaningful ways using blockchain as a technology. So TrustVerse itself, we are looking at deep neural AI optimization, and we have actually worked on equity portfolio. Traditionally, we managed about 35 million of global equity portfolio. So this is not a trading strategy or like as a quant trading. It's more about risk management and setting the allocation of different equities and based on your risk profile. And we do rebalances and the seamless signal capture. And especially in the crypto world, as like yesterday, SEC disapproved the Winklevoss's ETF, and today the Nasdaq was considering another financial product for the crypto. So the fluctuation of crypto or the volatility is hugely affected on sentiment data. That's what we find. And through that portfolio, we are making that smart contract of doing our legacy planning and inheritance design using smart contract. So we are dealing with neural network, which we already have designed from past 7 years. We've been working on deep learning, and then now it's more on the neural network-based reinforcement learning. And it was based on the global equities, like S&P 500. You can easily capture unstructured or structured data, and there are a lot of data services that's provided by Bloomberg or the Reuters. But for crypto, as you know, there's not many of data that you can capture. So you have to approach many innovative way or the data science to understand meaningful data. So when you look at the value of all the economic activities, people say, from the traditional finance world, I did MBA from a very traditional world. They mostly often ask you, what's the intrinsic value? What's the underlying asset between these tokens? And it's very hard to understand it, but I want to tell you how I would interpret it from my standing point of view. But if you look at Bitcoin market, as you see, it's still very smaller than the market cap of Apple. It's still smaller than the one company's market cap. But when you say it's a dot-com bubble, you're looking at $3.2 trillion in 1999. So I think there's people. And then if you look at very vertical line of where Bitcoin's going, like 955% of last year. So I want to tell you why the phenomena is happening, and why is digital asset. Nowadays you're putting your money on bank or different financial portfolio. You're only making, people would be happy making 3-4%, but in crypto space, they would be happy if you're making 10x or 20x or even 1000x. So the 2017 yearly returns, on Bitcoin was about closer to 1,300%. Altcoins were about 707%. And the market cap's increasing, and the new adoption of the purchasing Bitcoin tokens are increasing as well. And if you look at the VC world and the IC world, a lot of the VCs are trying to get into the ICO space to take a portion. And then the venture capitals that I know closely from the traditional side, they are also looking at to invest in ICO because a very fast return for their investment as well because of the token value. And sometimes they would invest in equity, and then there is some contract of doing equity purchase back. That's like one of the approaches that the traditional VCs do it. But over the market cap, prior to trading, 81% of the scam, if you're lucky enough, it moves to trade about 8%. Of that 8%, only 1.9% are successful. So that's how hard the market was. And previously, the presenter talked about the 90% price drop as it goes onto the exchange. So that's one of the reasons you got to put it into a portfolio. And this is something that I mentioned to you about. Still Bitcoin in the middle, and it's still lower than the Apple's market cap. So how do I understand this situation? So it's a hyper-connected society, network effect, Metcalfe's law, like Airbnb, Uber, Facebook, they don't actually own assets, but everything is digital asset, as in estate. The fast expansion of nodes and the network expansion is adding value to the mass adoptions. And if you look at the S curve or the user adoption curve, nearly the Bitcoin's more vertical than ever. As the 1900, the telephone, the adoption speed was much slower. So this is how you would explain. As you know, the cryptocurrencies are highly correlated to each other, but the behaviors are changing nowadays, based on our reference. So I try to stay on a very traditional measure of looking at ICOs, and our R&D center is based in Korea, and when I stay there, there is a bunch of tokens that I see, like Alibaba coin, Cisco coin, IBM, Microsoft. There are a whole bunch of tokens that you've never seen, heard of, and they raise, closer to a few hundred million, and they just flee away. That's really hurting the market. So what do we do in TrustVerse as a simplified? So we actually provide. So we are a utility token provider. Investment portfolio that we design for someone's profile. We keep it safe and we minimize the cost of that portfolio that you have invested when you transfer to your family members and do inheritance and legacy planning. And because of the smart contract ways, easy to transfer, and then immutable information actually helps that legacy planning to happen. So we often ask about, when you lose your private key, and someone that I met, closer to me, like would never share private key with their family member or even wife. Or if you're on a plane, and then what if you happen to, crash, and what happens to your digital asset? So that's where we are coming from. You can pre-schedule your assets. What happens to that when something incident happens? We call it proof of death. Then the registered family members actually validate your the asset holding amount, and it gets transferred when everybody has a consensus. So 3 things we provide is a portfolio information, cryptocurrency, we call it off-chain fund, global equity, smart contract design service for your wealth transfer, and tax and legal data services. This is big 4 companies that are doing, but the data is already prevalent out there. We are putting it into DApps. So it's a multiple DApps integrated into one. And for the first and the second part, we already have a working demo and prototype. And for crypto portfolio, we actually have a model that works. So we provide an invest and relax experience, schedule your ownership, transfer of crypto asset, and token that has a variety of utilities. You can do something with DApp, the tokens that can help you to do something that's useful. So it's already been implemented on AWS, and we are transferring this to Ali Cloud. So there's some of the partnerships that we are moving on, like such as MOU, to scale to Chinese market. And this is the actual portfolio model that we have designed on global equity portfolio, and we actually have a pretty good number of returns. And this is something that we have worked on the sentiment analysis on the global equity. The blue line is the prediction of where the price is going, but you're only looking at one equity data. Tesla and Apple, you look at the volatility and the correlations of that, and we can give you the heat map of this composed portfolio, if it's safe or not. And we have, of course, worked on crypto, correlations of different data together, but Bitcoin's much more volatile than Ether we find, and you can even do like 10 to different multiple portfolio, the crypto options, then build it into a sentiment signal, and it's giving you whether this portfolio is negative, means it's a high risk, high return, whether you want to have a very average return, low risk, safe returns. So we designed that. So it's gonna be a app-based D-app, and we are planning to launch this in March next year. We already have a working model that runs on the PC or the laptop interface. So many people talk about Robinhood, and I want to bring Robinhood again because this year they were valued about 1.6 billion USD. Because of trading crypto in June, their valuation went up to closer to 6 billion USD. But what they provide is a 0% trading fee. But their revenue doesn't really come out from, because it's 0% revenue fee, 0% trading fee, you don't actually find a real intrinsic revenue that's coming from the growth from the company. So we provide AI, quantitative and multi-data driven analysis of building portfolio. And we already have a AI profiling of a user, whether this user's character. So you can kind of drag WeChat data or the Telegram data of this person and can discern or distinguish whether this person's early 20s, 30s, based on their, the language style, natural processing. So we do support Korean, Korean, Chinese, and English for now. So our AI, so we can do single year, expected return, Sharpe ratio, multi-year, rolling efficient, and forward for stock price predictions. So that's what we are specialized in. And the portfolio value, composition, so we are rebalancing it to make sure that we minimize your risk. For crypto, it's probably most of the people approach this way. You're looking at multi-dimensional and time series of predicting what's the the building safe portfolio, and this already has been developed on AWS as well. So it's a risk management. I'm not telling you that this is a quantitative trading. How do you make more money? This is to keep it safe. When you're down 20%, at least you can make 5%, safer the portfolio. So we provide multi-asset stock portfolio as well as a crypto portfolio. This is some of our multi-data set: equity, fundamental, macro, sentiment, and market live feed. So we are basically dealing with many different contents. Just skip it because of the time. But lastly, you would ask, this is a financial services. Why would you need a smart contract or that? We actually deal with portfolio information and your identity. For example, like in Facebook, your ID has to be considered as a digital asset. Many people are having their positions in digital cryptocurrency. So we are actually building into the D-app service flow, global service load balancing of selecting the right network for you to connect and make sure the decentralized ID authenticate it's you. And because of such usage, we can analyze your behaviors of your financial portfolio and how often you would do a smart contract and do inheritance planning on our platform. So if you go into more complicated, so this is a D-app basically based on ERC20. We have a smart contract designed by AI chatbot. That's something that we do as well. So this is something that I mentioned to you about the proof of that, making sure that everyone in your family is in agreement that this is to pass it on. Yeah, so our founding members mostly come from tech and finance background. Yeah, so if you're interested in our project, please come to our Telegram. Our demo simulations already ready, trial version. for portfolio product service offer, and our DApp completions about like April 2019, integrating all these T apps together. Yeah, if you want to join our community, you can visit our booth, which is right next to the conference hall. Thanks for listening, and then I hope you enjoy this weekend with the hybrid summit. Thank you.